You want a stool or something?
No, it's good. Okay. Hi, it's Dusty from the Fellowship Committee, and I am here with Bud and Marilyn Kratz, and they are going to answer some questions that we have about themselves and their lives so that we can get to know them a little bit better. The first question is, when did you become a member of our church and what influenced you to join our church? Marilyn?
We joined about in 1961. We were married in 59, moved right to Yankton after we married, and started. Well, first we went back home to my mom and dad's church for quite a while, for several months. Then we started going to Bud's church, which was the Evangelical United Brethren, which the building that we attended that church in is just the one block west of our church on the corner.
Okay.
It isn't that kind of church anymore. We went there a while, really loved the young minister, and then he went off to become a missionary. And so the church kind of fell apart. And we started going to the United Church of Christ, which was congregational at the time. My home denomination was congregational. I loved it right away. But in those days, it was kind of traditional that the woman went to the man's church, you know. But so I didn't say anything, but we started attending, and I hoped Bud would like it as much as I did. And apparently he did, because when I suggested we joined, I had no problem convincing him to do that.
Good. Cool. You have anything to add?
No, I agree with that.
Good, good. Okay, so, Bud, if you had some advice to give to somebody today, what would it be?
About what?
Anything.
That's a tough question. Be yourself, I guess. I don't try to be someone other than who you are. You know, if you're like I was, Marilyn's a college educated person, and I'm a high school educated person, and I can't, you know, I'm not as smart as she is. I don't speak as well as she does, and you know, just be yourself. Don't try to be someone else.
Yeah. Marilyn, do you have anything different?
Well, the thing I have often said is to be happy, you have to like what you're doing, but that's not all. You have to also do it to the best of your ability. And then you're happy because you have self respect. And the other thing I would say to young people is if you want to travel, if you want to do some special things, do it while you're young. When you're our age, you're glad you have the memories, but you just can't do those things anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Good things. Okay, so what's your favorite time of year, Marilyn, and why?
It would have to be the time I see the first crocuses blooming on the south side of my house, which is sometimes in February. And I always pick 2 or 3 tiny little crocuses. They're only about this tall, but I've got some tiny vases to put them in. And from then on, I hope to have fresh flowers in my house until frost, because I grow a lot of flowers in my garden. And the first thing I like to do all summer long is put in my fresh bouquets of flowers for the day.
Cool. And has that changed? Has spring always been your favorite time of year?
I suppose when I was a child, it would have been Christmas, like most children, you know, or even maybe just the beginning of the school year, because I loved going to school. Having grown up on a farm, I had siblings to play with, but I was always ready to go back to school and see friends because I didn't see them in the summertime being on a farm.
Yeah. What about you, Bud? What's your favorite time of year?
I think summer. As a kid, anyhow, summer was a big deal in all of South Dakota. You could throw off all your shirt and trousers and wear just shorts and run down to the Missouri or to the Jim River and jump right in and take a dip.
Yeah.
And anyhow, when I was young, it was spring and summer. Definitely spring.
What about now?
I think the same, probably.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
go swimming, but I think it's the same.
Yeah.
I like the spring.
I like spring. I really do. Okay, so you touched on your educational level. What did you do as far as education?
Well, I have a master's degree in elementary education. I taught school for 31 years.
Where did you go to school?
Well, my first school was Mike Durfee Prison in Springfield, which was then Southern State Teachers College. I got my first 2 degrees there, 1 year and 2 year teaching degrees. Then I graduated from Yankton Federal Prison Camp, which was then Yankton College. And when I started at the university to get my master's degree, my son said, "Mom, maybe you better not tell him you're there." But luckily it's still a college and not a prison.
Wow. And what did you do? Where did you teach? Here in Yankton?
I taught rural school for 2 years. Absolutely loved it. But then we were married and moved right to Yankton, and I started teaching in Yankton.
Okay.
So I taught here in Yankton.
Wow. And Bud?
Where did I grow up?
No. Where'd you go to what school did you?
I went to all of it, public schools.
Okay.
And then I went to Menno High School. There was an high school in all of it. And graduated there. And then I went to into the service for a couple of years.
What year was that?
That would have been in 56 or 7.
57. 57 you joined the service.
57 and 58. And spent 18 months in Germany, which I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to Barber College at Sioux City and barbered for several years.
17.
17? Was it that long? Longer than it should have been. Anyhow, I barbered 17 years. And then I started working at Yankton Rexall Drug and then worked there for about 30 years, I think it was. So, and I loved all of it.
Cool.
Had the best jobs in the world.
Yeah, I did cosmetology for years and loved that. Yep. It was great. Okay, so first job, what was yours?
Well, teaching in rural school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to work when you were younger?
I lived on a farm. There was, Daddy only bought $1 worth of gas every Saturday night, so he wouldn't have taken us to town every day to find a job. I never was like a waitress in a cafe or anything. I had no jobs outside the home till I started teaching. I really didn't. Most rural school kids didn't.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What about you, Bud? Did you work?
I worked in the store.
Okay.
Stocking shelves and sweeping the floor, and we built a new store building in 1951, I think it was, and I helped on every bit of that.
His dad owned a general store.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
In a small town. And so I worked one summer for a couple of bricklayers, and all kinds of different things.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay, so one of the things you wanted to answer was, what do you remember about your grandparents' lives?
I knew 3 of my grandparents and 2 of my great-grandparents. They were hardworking Germans. They were all farm people. I loved my dad's mother especially. She lived in Scotland where I went to high school and often had to stay overnight, for school activities. So my other grandmother never did speak English, so I had a hard time communicating with her. And she was not a real warm, fuzzy person, but she was a good grandma. They were just good, strong, hardworking people, farmers, all of them.
Wow. What did they farm?
They farmed, in those days especially, they had, cows and pigs and chickens and farmland, and they, it's general farming like
Okay.
that.
Okay. Bud, what about you? Grandparents?
Well, I didn't know my mother's parents. I don't know that I ever met them. And my dad's parents, my grandmother was very quiet, and I didn't know her very well either, but my grandfather, on the other hand, I knew very well. And he was when I was growing up, he was a whittler.
Oh.
And he made all kinds of things. And I'll show you some. Turn your thing off. I'll show you when I find my horse. Where's that horse? Here it is.
I'm not turning it off.
You would take
my
a piece of wood
goodness.
and glue pieces of wood together and then he would go ahead and whittle them. And these are two of the things that he whittled for me.
Oh my goodness, those are beautiful.
Yes, they are.
Look at these.
He glued together ends of peach boxes from the store because he couldn't afford to buy a lot of wood.
Right?
But you can't tell by looking at it that it's
No,
layers glued
they're
together before he
beautiful.
started
So
cutting.
I spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours watching him do that kind of thing. And my folks both worked at the store, so when I was littler, I spent a lot of time up there. And so I knew him very well and my grandmother not so well.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of fun watching him whittle. He would let me.
He's very good at it.
Yeah, he was very good.
Did you ever whittle?
No.
No?
I don't have the patience for that.
I get it. So, what were some of your hobbies? Did you have any hobbies?
Well, I like to swim, like to fish when I was young. I don't have any other hobbies, do I? No. I don't think I do.
So, how did you guys meet?
Well, I saw her when I don't even remember the first time I saw you. I thought that's the girl I want to meet, and she didn't want to meet me very bad.
I had a crush on somebody else the first time I saw him, but my sister Vi met him first. She was dating a boy from his hometown, and that boy introduced her to Bud. The minute she saw Bud, she said, "Oh, that Marilyn's got to date this guy," and but I wasn't too interested for a while. But then eventually it turned out I was, and turned out Vi made the right decision.
So, where did you go on your first date do you remember?
Yes, our first real official date, we came here to Yankton. I still have the dress I wore.
What?
I do. It's up right up in that closet. We came here to Yankton. There was like a U.S. Air Force band concert at Nash Gym, which is, of course,
Yep.
now on the prison campus. And that was our first real date.
Yeah, I remember that.
Was he a gentleman?
Always.
All right. Raised by good stock, huh?
He was. He was a nice boy.
Did either of you do sports in high school?
I did. Played basketball.
Okay.
He was even on a team that went to the state tournament one year.
There you go.
First team to ever go to the state tournament from Minnow. We got 8th place out of 8. But
That's all right.
We got there anyhow.
Yeah.
You know, women's sport or girls' sports didn't start in Scotland High School, which I attended, until I was about a senior. They had a girls' basketball team, but I didn't go out for it. I was never interested in playing sports.
Did you have any activities that you did in high school?
Everything related to music and drama and debate, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm.
Did you which part of drama did you enjoy?
Oh, I was in plays. I was
Okay.
in plays a lot, and in college too. And even one time out here at the lake when they used to have a theater here in town, I was in The Sound of Music with a bunch of other people from our choir in our church. Actually, we were all lovely little nuns.
Very good. All right. So, chores. You already touched on what you did.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of chores did you have to do around the farm?
Just the sort of things you would do: feed the chickens, gather cobs for the wood stove, help in the garden, milk cows. I used to milk cows. Yes, just sort of help out and shock the grain in the field, which was really a hard job.
Yeah.
Go up and down the corn rows picking cockleburrs in the summertime. So yeah, just the regular farm chores that all children were expected to help with.
Well, I never knew about putting corn cobs in the stove.
Well, it was a wood burning, an iron range they used to have in the
Mhm.
farm kitchens. And, dry cobs were the cheapest and most readily available fuel. So that's what I don't know that they ever put coal or wood in those stoves. I can't remember ever seeing that done, but we sure did shovel in a lot of cobs, and they were fast burning, so you needed a lot of them.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting. All right. I think we have gone through most of the questions I think all of them. Oh, no, one more. How did you get to school?
Usually my parents, my mother would drive us and pick up some neighborhood kids on the way. We hardly ever had a walk. It was about 2 miles from our farm to the school. Once in a while we had a walk home, but usually we just got a ride in the car. And if it snowed enough, we could ride in the wagon behind the horses when we were really little, and that was always fun. But
I
that didn't
bet.
happen real often.
What about you, Bud?
Walked.
Walked. Me too.
It was about a block and a half, you know, so it wasn't very far. If I walked across town, it was about 2 blocks.
Well, there you go.
There
All
you
right.
go, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for telling us more about you and letting us get to know you better.